And welcome to the Cardinals Nest, the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative. My co-host on the Nest is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. We are coming to you from the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab in Aquinas Hall on the campus of St. Mary's University. Our producer is A.J. Ruskowski. Donny, it's playoff time, specifically basketball playoff time, and the men's team with its first home playoff game since the MIAC started their playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm decked out in the white, ready for the whiteout tonight, and yeah, it's really exciting to finally have a home men's basketball playoff game, and the guys are coming in playing really well. They had two great wins last week to close out the regular season, and I think they're flying high. It's going to be a great atmosphere, but it's also going to be a great game. They've obviously played twice this year and split. The only problem is they split on each other's courts. So we beat them up in St. Paul, and then they came down here and beat us in overtime, 87-84. So two great games. I expect nothing more than that this time around, and I think that they're playing very well. So it's just a matter of keeping it rolling.
Right, absolutely. And it seems like, especially in the MIAC, and I think this is true for a lot of conferences, you can kind of throw the seeds out the window, right? St. Mary's the number 3 seed, but as you said, the Pipers have given them 2 really good games. And if you make the MIAC playoffs, you're a good basketball team and capable of winning at any time on any court.
Well, if you look at it, and as you said, you've got Carleton. They won the title with 3 losses in conference play. St. John's finished second with 7. Mm-hmm. So we finished 12-8. So we were 1 game out of second place. So yeah, seeding wise, yeah, it's great to have the 3 seed because you get to be home. But it doesn't matter who you play. There, everybody that's in the tournament right now is going to be a fight to the finish, and I wouldn't be surprised if you look back on this tournament and just see every game is decided in the last minute.
Right. More accolades this week for Raheem Anthony. Once again, the Offensive Player of the Week in the MIAC. They can just kind of keep that press release and just change the date.
Yeah, that one, and he was also named to the D3Hoops.com Team of the Week, which was announced Tuesday morning. So yeah, that's 3 MIAC honors and 4 D3 Hoops honors just this year. And, congratulations also to Owen Ziegler of the men's basketball team, Brooklyn Paulson, Ashley Streveler, Caitlin Cruz, and Izzy Gettleman on the women's side for being academic all-district. So great honors for them, and kind of just goes to show you that we not only excel on the court, but also in the classroom as well.
Absolutely. The women's basketball team, they close out the season with a 9-16 mark, 8-14 in conference play. Had a really exciting win last Wednesday night against Bethel, an overtime win. They won that one 70-68. They closed things out on senior day, falling to Gustavus Adolphus, which is the top team in the conference, kind of by a long shot too.
Yeah, it was too bad. It was too bad to end. They had to end on Gustavus because, like you said, they played so well against Bethel, a playoff team in their own right. And so, I think that it was very similar to last year in that at the end of the season kind of is where the Cardinals really started to kind of gain some momentum and hopefully moving into next year, obviously without Brooklyn and Ashley, that's going to be, and Macy Petron as the 3 seniors, that's going to be tough shoes to fill because Brooklyn just in herself, she's 107 consecutive starts, 3-point leader all-time, finished number 3 all-time in scoring. And then you got Ashley, who had 103 pointers in her career. There are going to be some tough shoes to fill, but there are a lot of very talented young players on this squad, and I look for good things from them next year.
I think what impressed me the most about the Bethel win is they kind of had to come from behind in that fourth quarter to do it. It wasn't where we got the big lead and then had to fend off Bethel, and we got it to overtime, and then that's when we took charge.
Yeah, and I think we played so well. It really was. It was fun to see them, be rewarded for a great game against a very good team.
Yeah. We'll look at men's hockey now. Unfortunately, Donnie, we can't talk playoffs for the men's hockey team. They end the season with a couple of losses to Concordia. Overall, their record 11-13-1 on the year, 7-9-0 in conference play. It's likely a 500 record would have gotten them in, but not 2 games below.
Yeah, I think, I'm just glancing over, and our producer is scowling right now because I think they let this slip away. They had the perfect opportunity. They had everything in their favor. It was like you have 2 home games against a team that all you had to do was beat. Now, granted, that's not easier said than done,
right.
But everything was there for them. They controlled their own destiny, and just offense kind of took a nap for 2 games, only managing the 2 goals, and against a team like Concordia, you can't do that. You've got to score goals, and you got to tip your cap to Concordia. They came down here and played 2 very good games, and came away with 2 wins, and they're in the playoffs, and we're not.
Well, and I think. And everybody is banged up this time of year, and I know Coach Egan will never use it as an excuse, but we did have some sort of unexpected late-season injuries there that shuffled the lineups a little
Absolutely. And, like you said, I mean, I guarantee you that Coach Egan is not going to use that as any kind of an excuse. And, it's kind of that mentality that he has is, what, if somebody's hurt, somebody else has to step up and do the job. And they weren't able to get it through at the end, but it still was a very, very good season. I mean, you get 11 wins in this conference and in the non-conference that they play, which is all against the teams from the Wisconsin, UW Superior, UW Stevens Point. So it's 11 and 13 is nothing to sneeze at. They just ended it probably not the way they wanted it to end.
Right. And the women's team end the season on the road at Concordia with a tie and a win. So the women's team. Again, the goals finally started to come just a little too late in the season.
I don't think I've ever seen 2 games as crazy as the 2 that St. Mary's played against Concordia. On Friday night, they're down 1-0. Cass Kingston scores with 5 seconds left in regulation to send it into overtime, 1-1 tie. On Saturday, St. Mary's is winning 3-2. Concordia scores with 6 seconds left in regulation to tie it. We get a goal from Allie Erlob in overtime to win it. But 2 crazy finishes, but overall, really nice way for them to end the year.
Yeah, they closed the season 8-15-2, 5-11-2 overall. So not the way Coach Murray envisioned the season at the start of things, but they finished strong. So good momentum going into next year. And this was a very young team too.
For sure, absolutely.
So let's look at men's track and field now, Donnie. We've got the MIAC Indoor Championships coming up this weekend, and with the snowstorm, things are getting moved around now to Saturday, Sunday, correct? And they're coming off a 5th place showing in the Maverick.
Yeah, the Maverick Invitational was a great meet for them to be in because it was against not only some of the best teams in the MIAC, but also in Division 3, in Division 2. So they had great competition, and really there were some very, very good performances. Carolyn Guerin on the women's side stands out, and so does Chris Bowa on the men's side. He's really had a really exciting indoor season, and as we always talk about, and we talked about it with Coach Schneider, it all builds up to this weekend when they have the MIAC Indoor up in St. Paul at McAllister College, and as you said, multi-events will start now on Friday instead of Thursday. The main events for running and field will be Saturday and Sunday rather than Friday and Saturday. And you know as well as I do, we're going to get no snow, and all of this is going to be for naught.
Well, I hope you're right about that. But and then in tennis, women took on Gustavus, lost 9-0. Carleton 8-1, 2 perennial powerhouses there. And on the men's side, losing to Gustavus 9-0.
Yeah, it's kind of like you look at those matches, those conference matches. Gustavus is perennially, on the men's side, they've won the regular season title 33 straight times. That tells you something. On the women's side, Gustavus has always been the power, but Carleton is moving right up there. Carleton actually beat Gustavus in the MIC tournament last year to go to the so they went to the Nationals. 2 very, very tough teams, and really tough for the women to play back-to-back. It's not an easy task to play one of them in a weekend, much less play both of them. So, yeah, tough way, but you look at it on the positive, they're out of the way now. Don't have to worry about those 2 matches, and they can focus on 2 home matches this weekend against Loras and Bethany Lutheran, and then they head to Hilton Head for their spring trip. Or to Orlando for their spring trip.
Well, we're going to have AJ put up the upcoming schedule now, and I'll kind of tell you coming up next here on the Cardinals Nest, we are going to continue with our St. Mary's University Hall of Fame inductee interviews. We've just got a couple left to go, and today we're going to be hearing from Mark Staub, a former St. Mary's men's hockey goaltender, and he's going to tell us about his time at St. Mary's, and we'll learn more about Mark. That Hall of Fame induction is going to be on March 11th at the Visions Event Center here in Winona as part of the Cardinal Excellence Fund dinner. So we're looking forward to that, and let's go to our interview now with Mark. And now joining us on the Cardinals Nest is Mark Staub. Mark is one of the Hall of Fame inductees this upcoming March 11th at our Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where 5 different former St. Mary's University athletes will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Mark, thanks so much for being on the show. Of course, you're a 1988 graduate of St. Mary's men's hockey. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
It's a great honor to be a part of this. I appreciate you having me on here. And 1988 sounds a long time ago.
Well, okay, wait a minute. 85 sounds even longer. So
you got me beat.
Mark, welcome to the show, and I want to be the first to welcome you to the club. Congratulations on your upcoming induction into the Sports Hall of Fame. Tell me, when you got the call from Brian, just kind of walk me through what was going through your mind. It's a great honor, and I'd like to hear it from you.
Well, it's kind of funny. A lot of the guys that I play with, 4 of the guys that I play with, got inducted numerous years ago. So that time frame goes through, and you kind of think, well, you were good, but you weren't good enough. So you always say you don't want to be egotistical and say, well, I should be in there. But in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, God, what a great honor that would be. So I had kind of left that back and then kind of moved on and said, I'm proud of what I accomplished. And I got a call from Brian saying, I have this great news for you. And and I was like everything went blank. I didn't know where we were going with this. I didn't know what he was going to say. And, time goes so slow when you're going through this. And he was explaining things, and he said, you're inducted into the St. Mary's Athletic Hall of Fame. And I just, I laughed, I cried, I got chills. It was, I knew it was going to mean something to me, but it meant more than what it actually did. It was awesome. It meant a lot.
So Mark, twice you were all conference in both your junior and senior season. As you look back on your playing career for men's hockey, what are some of the both individual accomplishments that kind of really stand out and matter to you, but also team accomplishments, of course?
I've never been a stats guy. I've never really cared about my own stats. The only thing I ever cared about was wins and losses. And I think coming in my freshman year, St. Mary's hadn't had a winning season in forever. I don't know the numbers, but we came out of nowhere my freshman year and we finished in second place. Great players, all 4 years, great players. Sophomore year, came in as potential winners, potential top 4, top 2. Stumbled, didn't do well. As a young kid, I started college at 18. Most other guys, they don't start till they're 20 when you're playing hockey. My immaturity showed, and I blamed a lot of that on myself. Losing season, and it was probably the worst season of hockey I ever played. So going into my junior year, swore that would never happen again. Became more mature, kind of took things a little more seriously. Great team my junior year. We had so many good hockey players. It was unbelievable. So many all conference and talented hockey players, and we fell short. But again, second place, and I'll never forget that season because those are the guys that kind of brought me under their wing, and it meant a lot to me as an 18-year-old kid, having these older guys kind of teach you the ropes and show you the ropes and teach you how to do things and how to be a student athlete. Being away from home, I had never been away from home before, so this was a first for me. A lot of these guys had played junior hockey, which in St. Louis, we've never heard of that. So at that time. So going into my senior year, after losing my junior year into St. Thomas in the playoffs, we had graduated 13 seniors. It was just kind of, I called ourselves the Bad News Bears of the MIAC. We had forwards playing defense and whatnot, and we just kind of came together, and it was the greatest season of my life, winning that MIAC championship and having that banner hanging from the ceiling with those guys. It was a hodgepodge. We had guys from all over the country, and to win that championship, I'll never forget that. Statistics aside, winning that championship was the greatest accomplishment of my hockey career.
Well, and I can tell you, and we have this conversation a lot, having been here so long, that so many of the athletes that we have inducted, I've been here when they've been here. Well, Mark was one that I was a student at first.
Yep.
You were a freshman when I was a senior, and then when I came back and worked at the Winona Daily News, that was his junior and senior year. So I can attest to Mark deserving to be an inductee into the Hall of Fame. He had a great career, really fun to watch. And you talk a little bit about some of those teammates. You've mentioned just in passing, you had a great group of teammates, but go ahead and throw out some names, because it's a
hot, yes,
of college hockey for St. Mary's.
When I always talk about this, and I tell people that want to talk hockey, this is back in the 80s when it was the Edmonton Oilers and the New York Islanders, and it was freewheeling fun hockey. It was scoring. And Coach Olsen said, let's score some goals. So he went out and got so many talented players on offense, forwards and defense when they could play offense. Brian Bowen, who is near and dear to my heart, one of my closest friends from St. Louis. He was a captain my senior year. He was kind of like the big brother I have never had. So a lot of people laugh at that, but he was a fantastic player who I personally feel should be in the Hall of Fame. Guys like Dougie Lohr, he broke all the scoring records. Brad Wiley, another St. Louis guy I'm proud to call a friend, came up as a young kid and scored goals at will. Matthew Montgomery, who I played with, great defenseman, backbone of our defense my senior year when we won that MIAC championship. Who am I forgetting? Brad Wiley and Brad Madsen. Obviously, he was another guy in the Hall of Fame. Probably the best forward I ever played with in terms of natural talent. He was just big and can do everything, and actually play defense, unlike a lot of my other players, other teammates. Just kidding, guys. But it was guys like, and for me, my senior year, Greg Madsen was the captain, Steve Miller was the assistant captain, and those two guys kind of drove the train. Greg was a 3-year letter winner at forward. We didn't have enough defensemen, so he moved back to defense and played defense. Never played it in his life and was outstanding. The joke at the end of each game was he would make just as many, if not more, saves than I did at the end of the game. Tough as nails. And he was probably Brian Bowen was my good friend and captain, but Greg Madsen that year, being the captain of that team, winning that division, was the best captain I ever had the opportunity to play for. And Steve Miller, pound for pound, was the toughest player I ever played with. That guy had more heart than any guy I ever played with. 135 pounds soaking wet. We go into the corners with guys 6'3", 220 pounds, come out with his helmet on sideways with the puck, go to the bench, wouldn't know his name, and go back out there for the next shift. So guys like that are the kind of guys that I remember. And without them, a part of that 87-88 team, we don't win the championship.
Mark, tell us a little bit about your memories on campus here as a student athlete. So tell us about some of your favorite memories, and also maybe before you even get to that, how you ended up coming to St. Mary's.
Absolutely. So again, coming from St. Louis, it wasn't the hockey bed that it is now. We had junior B hockey. And after that, very few guys got scouted from St. Louis. You had to actually know somebody to know somebody. So again, Brian Bowen, my good friend, we went to a high school called CBC, Christian Brothers College High School. St. Mary's being a Christian Brothers school as well. He went to St. Mary's the year before me, went up there and played hockey. I don't know how he came about that. I guess the MIAC was kind of the Midwest Conference, so that's kind of how we found out about it. Went up there and made a large impact along with another St. Louis and Scott Delaplane. So my senior year, I talked to Brian. He said, come on up. So I paid a visit to them in St. Thomas, made the right decision going to St. Mary's. And it just hit. I've never been to Minnesota, went up there, and it was a learning experience from how cold it is and the snow amounts and all that kind of stuff. I'm from the Midwest, so I've experienced it, but not like that. But I thought for me personally, getting away from home, learning to kind of grow up and mature yourself. And at the same time, being in a small school, I thought that was huge too, where you're not getting lost with thousands and thousands of people. It was small and it felt like my high school. So I kind of could fit in and felt more comfortable.
Mark, talk a little bit about your playing on campus, because you were one of the bubble. So
Yep.
you played in the bubble. So what was that like? I mean, obviously now that nobody plays in a bubble anymore, but that was quite the experience.
When I took the visit, it's the first time obviously I'd ever seen a bubble before, but they had the rink on campus, and I thought, well, this is pretty cool. And I had talked to Brian Bowen, and he had mentioned, how crazy it is and how loud it is and what a home ice advantage it is. So you get up there and you get to play on it, and the ice was perfect. It was the best ice in the mine. It was unbelievable. The rink was beautiful, and then you would walk from the college center down below, down in the locker rooms, and you have to walk up the steps, and then you would have to cross campus in front of Benilde. And then in the wintertime, when it was cold and snowy, you would cut through Benilde, and you would have to make that trek. And then you get to practice, you'd be half dressed, and then you get to the rink, and you would have the two trailers. So you go back there, and it was different. You laugh about it, and it's times it was fun, and other times it was not fun because it was cold and whatnot. But when it came to playing games, it was the best home ice advantage I had ever been a part of. Teams, you could just see the look in their eyes when they got there with their bags half dressed coming from the hotel. They'd have to dress in this locker room that was really small in a bubble that was really cold with very loud fans. And it was just, you could just see the defeated look in them before they even hit the ice. And then all of a sudden we were energized, and you get out there and the music would start playing and the fans would start going. And it was a great atmosphere. I hated to see it go, even though the new building is obviously a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
Mark, when was the last time you've been on campus?
I've gone up there quite a bit. Long story short, my son at the age of 9 had some problems medically. Ended up going to the Mayo Clinic, kind of saved his life. And so I would always, that's back, he's 9, he's 27 now. So I would go to the campus and go just kind of tour it around and take a look around. And then I started coaching the St. Louis Junior Blues program here, the Junior A program in St. Louis. And we played against Rochester. And the head coach was a guy by the name of Chris Flogger. And he graduated from there as well, much younger than me. But that was always part of our trip. I would always make the Rochester trips because we go to Rochester, we take the team to St. Mary's, we do a look around, maybe watch a game. So I've been there quite a bit, but it has been probably about 3 or 4 years since I've been there.
All right, good.
It's obvious as we listen to Mark, just the passion and the love for St. Mary's hockey. My hope would be, can you just give us how about a good Coach O story?
Oh man. A good story is like funny, or a good story where he just
well, I can tell you, I mean, Coach O is the most amazing person I've ever met.
Amen.
I mean, the guy is my idol, and always has been ever since I was a student there. But I know he's going to induct you.
Yes.
So
yes.
Why did you choose Coach O?
Well, it took me years to realize, but he was one of the greatest men on the face of God's green planet. To put up with myself for 4 years, and I have a story that I can't tell that I'm going to use into my induction ceremony, because it's going to be my story that just sums it up perfectly. So unfortunately, you'll have to wait to hear that one. But he took all kinds of people from all over the country with all different backgrounds and just brought you together. And when he got mad, it was like you disappointed your father. And I'll tell you a funny story. So we were I don't know what year it was, but Brian Bowen was, I think it was his senior year, my junior year, where he was the captain. And we had come off an awful weekend. And we were having practice, one of these long-winded practices, and he stopped the practice in the middle to chew everybody out. This is what you're doing. You got to start doing this. You got to start caring. Everyone says yes. And Brian Bowen took a puck for no reason and flipped it, and it hit the light, and the light fixture fell and broke. So he had to get off the ice, and we had to quit practice, and he was fuming. One of the few times in my life I've ever seen Coach Olson that mad. And if you had to pick a person, as you know, Donnie, Brian Bowen would be the one to do it.
Yep, absolutely. He would definitely be the one to do it. That's for sure. Mark, just quickly as we get ready to wrap up, what does this mean to you? Being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I think it's obviously special. But what does it mean to you as a graduate of '88, as you said a long time ago? What does it mean to you to be inducted?
It's coming. This is going to be long-winded, but I apologize. Being a hockey player from St. Louis in the '80s, not many people made it out of there in terms of making it into college or junior level, just a few of us. And to go to St. Mary's and be a 4-year starter, I remember looking at the program my first game, and I looked at you kind of, oh, this is cool. I'm finally in a program. There's my name, and I'm looking at all these names. And these guys are like 4, 5, and 6 years older than me, and that's because all these guys had played junior. So I'm like, I had to mature quickly. I had to figure things out quickly. And to play those 4 years and St. Mary's not having success all those years before, and then having, with the exception of our second year, so much success as a team, and then to cap it off with a championship my senior year, I thought, God, this is the greatest accomplishment ever. I'm so proud of what we accomplished as a team and myself being a kid from St. Louis. And then, like I had said before, a couple of these guys got inducted, and they deserved it. Their stats are off the wall. And goals, assists, All-American awards. I was never an All-American, just All-Conference. So your dream is to make it, just to kind of have a final say in your legacy. But I kind of said, I'm okay with that. I can live with not being a Hall of Fame member. I feel like I still will be a part of all those teams and be mentioned and be remembered. And then to get that call, it like I said, it brought a tear to my eye, it brought chills to me. And when that day comes, I can't imagine me keeping my composure, but time will tell.
Good. A little tip: make sure you practice that speech often and practice it out loud, because it's a tough thing to do.
I'm planning on that. Thank you.
Mark, last question. What have you been up to since leaving St. Mary's? What are you doing today?
Actually, I was in coaching forever. As soon as I left St. Mary's, I was signed by the Blues out of college. And that was always my dream. I got an opportunity to try out for them. I was in their main camp for a week. Went to Peoria for a month. Didn't work out numbers wise. They sent me to Erie, Pennsylvania, the East Coast League at that time, which was the last stop on your minor league hockey, and it didn't work out. So I've been working at the same job for 33 and a half years now. I'm a machinist. Went back to school for 4 years as in a trade school. Love it. I have a wife, Krista. We've been married 28 years, a son, 27, Brendan, and my beautiful daughter, 26. And I retired from coaching about 3 years ago. Just learning now. I kind of feel like one of these guys that doesn't know what to do with his winters now that I don't have an ice rink to go to, but I'm starting to learn to enjoy it. And just kind of taking life in. You get to an age, Donnie, you can attest to this. You get to an age and it's like, sometimes you got to sit back and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So Mark Staub, thank you so much. One of our Hall of Fame inductees this March 11th. Really appreciate your time and joining us here on the Cardinals Nest.
Thanks, Mark, and congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
All right. That's going to do it for this Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.